They thought that leaving you had no cost, that you would disappear into silence, heal yourself, and then come back whenever they wished. They believed that a single message, a few gentle words, would make you stand there again, as before. But they were wrong, because the silence you carry this time is no longer pain. It is a form of punishment they never expected. In Stoic philosophy, silence is not weakness. It is the sharpest blade, not striking with words, but cutting with calm. You do not withdraw to be pitied, you step back to reclaim control. When you are silent in the right way, not allowing emotion to drive you, you do more than make them regret losing you. You force them to reassess the whole illusion of power they once held. There are breakups with no shouting, no tears, no last words. Only an empty space remains where you are still trying to understand what just happened while the other person goes on as if nothing occurred. And the familiar advice people often give is, disappear, cut contact, say nothing. You follow it, remain silent, wait, but then nothing happens. No regret, no message coming back, not a single sign that they miss you. It is at that moment you realize a harsh truth. Outward silence no longer makes anyone take notice. But silence that has awareness, silence that has depth, the silence born of reason and self-control, is the undercurrent that can destroy every illusion. And that is what you will learn in this video. How to turn quiet into a consequence they will never forget. In the past, when someone left, silence carried weight. It made the other person confused, question themselves, and sometimes regret. But this era is different. Everyone knows how to disappear, block numbers, delete social media, withdraw for a few weeks, then come back as if nothing happened. Disappearing has become a habit, a reflex. And what is familiar no longer hurts. Silence used to be a weapon, but now that everyone uses it, it becomes background noise. Those who once took you lightly have learned this rule. They no longer fear the void because they have trained themselves to endure it. When you are silent, hoping they will remember, they only see an old script. The same thought echoes in their heads. They will come back anyway. They are used to half-hearted withdrawals, to the times you were silent and then spoke again. That very predictability robs you of influence. Stoics do not act just because of emotion. They understand that if a strategy no longer works, the approach must change. Physical disappearance, stopping contact, removing names, leaving, only scratches the surface. To truly make the person who abandoned you face consequences, you do not need to disappear from the world. You need to become emotionally untouchable. Old silence is withdrawal to get attention. New silence is stepping away to gain freedom. One side waits for a reaction, the other does not need an outcome. When you are silent but continue to live calmly, not reminding them, not sending signals, not directing energy back toward them, your presence becomes strange and unpredictable. And it is that unpredictability that throws them off balance. True separation is not about distance or disappearing from someone's sight. It begins when you are no longer shaken by them, when their name appears and your heart stays calm, when memories return but no longer pull you in, when you can smile without pretending. That is when you have become emotionally untouchable. You do not need to delete photos, block accounts, or pretend to be cold. You still exist, you still live, but your energy no longer flows toward them. Everything that once revolved around that person, your thoughts, emotions, and reactions, is now still. You can still see them, even hear their name, but inside you, there is no automatic response. You have shifted your mind to another level, a place where they no longer have access. The Stoics call this state inner autonomy. It is not numbness. It is knowing your worth and refusing to hand it to those who do not deserve it. When you no longer try to prove anything, when you no longer need them to recognize your value, the power changes sides. Once they held your weakness, your emotions. Now that your emotions no longer depend on them, they lose the remote control that once manipulated you. Imagine yourself as a calm lake. Someone throws a stone, but instead of waves, the surface only ripples slightly and returns to stillness. Not because you do not feel, but because you know reacting only disturbs your peace. That serenity confuses them. They see that you are still there, but no longer responding as before. You exist, but you are no longer theirs. When they can no longer reach your emotions, panic begins to set in. Not because they have lost you, but because they have lost the power that once made them feel secure. And in that moment, you do not need to say or do anything more. Your calm becomes the clearest answer. I am still here, but I am no longer the same. When a person no longer reacts as before, the balance of power naturally shifts. The one who once controlled your emotions begins to feel uneasy because every familiar signal has disappeared. No more waiting, no more late replies, no more eyes searching for approval. In their place stands composure, steadiness, and a kind of silence that cannot be deciphered. At that moment, power changes direction. Before, they were used to you being the one who softened the tension, who explained, who reached out even without receiving a response. They once knew how to make you waver with just a word, a message, or even their own silence. But now all those tactics are meaningless. They send signals but see no reaction. They try to start conversations but are met only with quiet. That emptiness unsettles them because for the first time, they do not know where they stand in your mind. The Stoics believe that when you control your reaction, you are no longer anyone's victim. You become the one who directs the flow of emotion instead of being swept away by it. And once you master that, every illusion of power others had over you disappears. No revenge is needed, no proving required. You only need to keep living your life with steady rhythm. Your stillness is not indifference, it is awareness. You are not trying to appear fine, you truly are at peace. This unsettles them. They do not know what you are thinking, feeling, or whether you still care. That uncertainty becomes the most gentle yet profound punishment. When they can no longer read you, they lose control. When they can no longer make you waver, they lose their position. And when they begin to realize that your calm is no longer a mask but genuine strength, they understand that everything has changed forever. The moment you see their name appear on your screen, your heart reacts before your mind can intervene. That is instinct, the human part that longs to be acknowledged, loved, and understood. But in that very instant, if you pause, even for just 3 seconds, something remarkable happens. The mind separates from emotion, and in that brief pause, you regain control. The Stoics call this the gap of reason, the space between a stimulus and response. In those 3 seconds, you can take a deep breath, look directly at the emotion rising inside, and ask yourself 3 questions. Am I about to respond from peace or from pain? Will this reply lift me up or pull me down? If I don't respond, what do I still keep? When you can answer those 3 questions, your heart slows down, your mind clears, and calm returns. If your emotions are still unsettled, extend the pause, an hour, an afternoon, or even 3 days. No one deserves to make you lose the peace you worked so hard to rebuild. That waiting period is not a power game, but an exercise in inner discipline. The longer you wait, the clearer your mind becomes, and the easier it is to see what is real and what is merely an old reflex. Do not let your phone or your memories lead you. Let reason guide you. Within 24 to 72 hours, most intense emotions fade on their own. What confuses you today may become nothing more than a faint trace tomorrow. When that happens, if you still choose to reply, your message will come from clarity, not from a craving for recognition. Those who lack self-control respond the moment they feel empty. Stoics are different. They choose silence when the mind is still restless and act only when it is calm. That slowness does not make you weaker. It turns you into the only person who understands the rhythm of a game the other no longer grasps. Not every message deserves a reply. In Stoic philosophy, not responding is also a form of response, a conscious choice. What matters is not whether you reply, but that you understand why you do it. Each time you weigh silence against response, you are strengthening your self-control. If a message is vague, lacks accountability, or is sent only to test whether you still care, silence is the only right choice. Messages like, "Hey, how have you been?" or "Miss me?" rarely come from sincerity. They are hooks meant to gauge your reaction. When you do not respond, the test fails. When you stay silent, they are forced to face the emptiness they created. That silence is not avoidance, but a boundary. I am no longer part of this game. However, if the message has clear meaning, shows acknowledgement of mistakes, or concerns a matter that truly needs closure, you may respond, but within limits. Your reply should be brief, direct, and emotionless. No warmth, no counter questions, no open doors left behind. You respond to close the chapter, not to reopen it. Before responding, ask yourself, will this reply help me close the chapter or reopen another loop? If the answer is the first, you may speak. If it is the latter, choose silence. Because every time you respond from emotion, you hand control back to someone else. Stoics understand that silence at the right moment is the voice of the strongest. You do not need to declare that you have changed. Your consistency speaks for you. When you only speak when it truly matters, every word you say carries weight. And sometimes the quiet strength of your composure is what makes those who once underestimated you realize they can no longer reach you. When you begin to stay silent, do not expect them to leave you alone. In fact, that is when they start to test. Those who are used to holding control cannot tolerate emptiness. They want to know whether you are still there, whether you still care, or if you have truly moved on. And that is when familiar traps appear. Emotional manipulations disguised with subtlety. The first trap is false nostalgia. They bring up beautiful memories, moments that once weakened your resolve. But what they want is not the past. It is your reaction. When you feel moved, they know they still have influence. The best way to escape is to simply observe. Do not engage. The second trap is soft guilt. They say they are struggling, that they regret, that they need you. It is not understanding. It is a way to pull your compassion toward them. Keep your empathy, but do not let kindness reopen old wounds. The next trap is calculated casualness. Random greetings, meaningless emojis, or questions like, "How have you been?" The sole purpose is to see whether you still respond. Do not reply, because every reaction is a step backward. And finally, there are vague promises. Maybe someday, perhaps we'll meet again. Words meant to keep you waiting. Someone who is sincere will take action, not speak in uncertainty. A Stoic does not fight traps with words, but with stillness. When you do not react, every attempt to manipulate falls into emptiness. And within that emptiness, they finally understand what true loss feels like. If you must respond, let every word carry clarity and self-respect. The goal is not to hurt them, but to show that you have changed, calm, aware, and no longer pulled into the same emotional cycle. One short, firm, neutral sentence holds more power than 1,000 justifications. For messages meant only to be polite, you can say, "Thank you, I'm doing well. I wish you all the best." A simple but complete response. No counter questions, no added expressions. You remain courteous, but give them no opening to continue the conversation. If they try to bring up the past, gently close it with, "I appreciate what we shared, but right now I want to focus on my own life." This statement is not harsh, yet strong enough to remind them that you no longer stand in the same place. For messages filled with vague regret, a simple, "I hope you find peace soon," is enough. It shows kindness while maintaining distance. And if there is a genuine apology, acknowledge it calmly. "I appreciate your honesty. I wish you all the best." Then stop there. The key is to maintain a neutral tone. Not cold, not warm, just clear and measured. No emojis, no exclamation marks, no hidden meanings. When you speak less, your words naturally carry more weight. Stoics understand that victory does not come from words. As long as you remain composed, the silence between your sentences becomes the strongest declaration. I am no longer where you can reach me. Silence is an art, but for it to have power, you must have discipline. Some actions may seem harmless, yet a single moment of weakness can undo all the calm you have built. Stoics do not only know when to speak, more importantly, they know when to stop. The first mistake is replying too quickly. A hasty response rarely comes from reason. It comes from the fear of being forgotten. When you respond immediately, you show them they still control your emotions. Let time do its work, a few hours a day or even longer, to clear your mind from temporary feelings. The second mistake is justifying or explaining. Every explanation is meaningless to someone who is not sincere. You do not need to prove you are right, nor do you need to be understood. When you stop arguing, you reclaim control. In this case, silence is the most valuable response. Another mistake is pretending to be fine when you are not. Trying to appear strong or to prove you are unaffected only exhausts you further. True calm does not need to be performed. It naturally emerges when you stop trying. Finally, do not reopen the past. Every time you bring up memories, you give old pain a chance to live again. Let the past rest. Each time you choose silence over reaction, you prove that you are no longer being controlled. True strength does not lie in words, but in the ability to keep your mind steady amid waves of emotion. After you remain silent for a while, they will start to feel uneasy. Those who once left always assume you will react, believing your silence is only temporary. But when you stop responding, when you send no signals, confusion begins to grow. That is when the echo wave appears. Clumsy attempts to pull you back into the old cycle. Some will message you again, softening their tone. Why aren't you saying anything? I just wanted to check on you. Others will take a subtler approach, posting nostalgic updates, reaching out through mutual friends, or reacting to your posts. Their goal is not reconnection, but to test whether you will still respond. The Stoics understand that not every signal deserves a reply. When they create waves, you do not need to resist. You only need to remain still. A lake only ripples when touched by the wind. If you do not react, the wind dies on its own. Each time they try and you remain calm, they lose more of their power. When they realize you are no longer predictable, they begin to retreat. They may also return, bringing apologies or signs of regret. But do not rush to believe their words. Look at their actions. If their presence stirs your peace, take a step back to protect it. Maintaining silence is not about proving anything. It is about preserving the balance you fought to build. When you no longer react, they no longer know how to control you. And in that moment, you are truly free. Begin your morning with a few minutes of stillness. Sit quietly, breathe deeply, and remind yourself, I am at peace. I am clear-minded. I do not react to trivial things. These 3 lines remind you that you have the power to choose your response no matter the situation. When your mind is reset, the chaos outside becomes smaller. Another practice is to write your emotions instead of acting on them. When you feel angry, sad, or tempted to reply, write, but do not send. Writing helps you recognize your emotions without being ruled by them. Seneca once said, "When we understand our emotions, they lose their power over us." Writing is the first step toward that understanding. And finally, prepare your mind for challenges that may come. The Stoics call this premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Imagine that they may return, send messages, or bring back memories. When the mind is prepared, nothing surprises you, and therefore nothing can hurt you. Practicing silence is not about becoming cold. It is about standing still in the middle of the storm. A truly strong person does not need noise to prove themselves. They only need a silence deep enough to stay unshaken. And within that silence, you find the most enduring kind of power, the power to control yourself. When you stay silent long enough, you realize that the most valuable thing you regain is not someone's attention, but your own energy. For so long, your emotions revolved around the one who left. Every thought, every sleepless night, every time you checked your phone. But when you stop, that energy begins to return to you, and that is when true rebirth begins. Stoics do not run away from pain. They use it as material to build themselves. Instead of waiting for an apology, they learn a new skill. Instead of seeking someone to fill the emptiness, they find themselves again. When you invest in your body, your mind, and your habits, every small action becomes a declaration that you alone are responsible for your happiness. Do not try to appear strong to prove a point. Live genuinely, care for yourself, work, read, and surround yourself with people who bring you peace. True transformation does not need to be seen. It radiates naturally through the way you walk, speak, and exist. Eventually, you will realize you are no longer waiting for a message, a chance, or anyone's validation. You begin to create your life, your values, your peace. And when your energy no longer flows outward toward others, but inward toward yourself, silence ceases to be a reaction. It becomes proof. Because what torments them most is not that you left, but that you became someone beyond their reach. There will come a time when they must face the very silence they once dismissed. At first, they think you are just angry, that you will soften and return as before. But as time passes, your serenity remains unchanged. No signals, no reactions, nothing left for them to hold on to. And when there is nothing left to predict, their ego begins to crumble. Your quiet becomes a mirror. In it, they see their own indifference, selfishness, and carelessness. They remember the times you tried, the messages they ignored, the chances to love that they let slip away. Those memories, once small, now feel heavy, because this time, there will be no second chance. Your silence is no longer a reaction. It is proof of growth. You do not need to speak to show you have changed. Your peace speaks for itself. The Stoics believe that the deepest punishment does not come from anger, but from unshakable calm. When you reach that point, your very presence makes others reflect on themselves. Now they finally understand that what they lost was not just someone who once loved them, but the chance to be close to a soul that knows how to love the right way. What haunts them most is not that you stop speaking, but that you no longer want to. Because when you can walk away calmly without looking back, that is when they truly feel the cost of losing you. They once thought leaving you would be easy, that you would hurt, then come back as before. But they never realized that this silence was not a reaction. It was rebirth. You are not silent to be noticed. You are silent to reclaim yourself. And when a person no longer reacts the same way, the power shifts. For the first time, they feel real loss. The Stoics say, no one can take away your peace unless you give it to them. When you can remain still, even amid chaos, you have already won without fighting. You do not need to raise your voice to prove your worth, because serenity says it all. Your strength lies not in what you show, but in your ability to stand firm without being swept away. And when they look back, they will see that what they lost was not just you, but the chance to be with someone who has learned to love with reason and live with freedom. Your silence becomes the final boundary, a place they no longer have the right to touch. If these words resonated with you, leave a comment below. Share your story, the moment you chose silence and found yourself again. I read every message because somewhere out there, someone might need to hear your journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss upcoming Stoic lessons that help you turn pain into strength and live with a peace no one can take away. Because when you master yourself, no one can ever hurt you again.